Sidney Poitier. What if I told you that one of Hollywood's most respected legends spent much of his life fighting battles that the cameras never showed? Most people remember Sidney Poitier as the elegant actor with the calm voice, the powerful screen presence, and the history-making Oscar. To the world, he looked untouchable, a symbol of dignity, a man who always seemed in control. But behind that image was a story filled with rejection, discrimination, heartbreak, impossible expectations, and sacrifices that few people truly understood. Long before he became a Hollywood icon, he was a poor island boy who nearly died at birth. Long before audiences applauded him on the biggest stages in the world, he was washing dishes, struggling to read scripts, and facing a society determined to tell him he didn't belong. Yet somehow, against every obstacle, he refused to accept the limits others tried to place on him. This is the remarkable story of a man who changed Hollywood forever, not by shouting the loudest, but by refusing to disappear. Sidney Poitier's journey began on February 20, 1927, in Miami, Florida. His birth was unexpected in more ways than one. His parents, Evelyn and Reginald Poitier, were farmers from Cat Island in the Bahamas. They traveled to Florida temporarily to sell tomatoes and other produce. They never planned for their youngest child to be born there. To make matters worse, Sidney arrived nearly 2 months early. He was so small and fragile that doctors doubted he would survive. For many families, that would have been the end of the story. But not for the Poitiers. His parents remained in Miami for months, caring for their newborn son until he became strong enough to travel. Against the odds, he survived. That unexpected birth also gave him something nobody could have predicted at the time: American citizenship. Still, his heart belonged to the Bahamas. He spent his earliest years on Cat Island, growing up in a simple environment far removed from the modern world. There was no luxury, no wealth, no Hollywood dreams. His childhood was built around hard work, family values, and survival. Then everything changed. When he was around 10 years old, his family moved to Nassau. Suddenly, he was exposed to things he had never seen before: cars, electricity, movies, refrigerators, running water. For a young boy who had spent most of his life in a rural environment, it felt like stepping into a completely different universe. The world was much larger than he had imagined. Unfortunately, it would not take long for him to discover that it could also be much crueler. At the age of 15, Sidney was sent to Miami to live with relatives. What happened next would stay with him for the rest of his life. Growing up in the Bahamas, he had not experienced the racial system that dominated much of America. He knew prejudice existed, but he had never lived under laws specifically designed to treat people differently because of their skin color. Miami changed that overnight. He quickly learned there were places he couldn't go, rules he had to follow, seats he was expected to take, stores where he wasn't treated like everyone else. The message was clear. Society wanted him to believe he was less important than other people. But there was one problem. His parents had already taught him something far more powerful. They had taught him dignity. They had taught him self-respect. Most importantly, they had taught him that his value as a human being was not determined by anyone else's opinion. That lesson became his shield. Instead of accepting discrimination, he grew determined to create a different future. At 16, carrying little more than ambition and courage, he left for New York City. He had almost no money, very little formal education, a strong Bahamian accent, and absolutely no connections. Yet he carried something many successful people possess before anyone else believes in them: an unshakable belief that they are capable of more. New York was not easy. In fact, it was brutal. To survive, Sidney worked as a dishwasher while searching for opportunities in acting. One day, he auditioned for the American Negro Theater. The result was humiliating. He struggled to read the script. His accent was considered too strong. The judges dismissed him almost immediately. Many people would have accepted defeat. Sidney did not. Instead, he decided to improve himself. A Jewish waiter who noticed his determination began helping him after work. Night after night, they sat together reading newspapers aloud, word by word, sentence by sentence, page by page. Sidney practiced relentlessly. The same skill that once embarrassed him eventually became one of his greatest strengths. But before his acting career could truly begin, another chapter interrupted his life. During World War II, he joined the U.S. Army. His military experience exposed him to new challenges and realities. After his service ended, he returned to New York and resumed the struggle he knew so well: working, learning, auditioning, failing, trying again. Eventually, he returned to the theater that had rejected him. This time, things were different. His reading had improved, his confidence had grown, and most importantly, he was prepared. The theater accepted him. That moment changed everything. It wasn't instant success, it wasn't fame, but it was a door opening. And once Sidney Poitier stepped through that door, he never looked back. As he gained experience on stage, people began noticing something unique about him. He possessed a rare combination of intelligence, strength, and quiet authority. He didn't need to dominate a room. He naturally commanded attention. Those qualities eventually led him toward Hollywood. At the time, opportunities for black actors were incredibly limited. Many roles relied on stereotypes. Many talented performers were denied meaningful opportunities. But Sidney had no interest in playing characters designed to make others comfortable. He wanted roles with dignity, roles with substance, roles that reflected the humanity of real people. In 1950, his breakthrough arrived. He was cast in the film No Way Out. The movie featured him as a doctor, a role almost unheard of for a black actor during that era. Audiences saw something different. They saw intelligence, competence, authority. For perhaps the first time, many viewers watched a black actor portrayed as the central figure rather than a supporting stereotype. Hollywood was paying attention. Over the next several years, his career steadily expanded. Each performance pushed boundaries. Each role challenged expectations. Each success made it harder for the industry to ignore him. Yet with every step forward came new pressure. He wasn't simply representing himself anymore. Many people viewed him as a symbol, a pioneer, a man carrying the hopes of others who dreamed of similar opportunities. That burden was enormous. One mistake could reinforce harmful stereotypes. One controversial decision could damage opportunities for those who followed. The pressure to be perfect became almost impossible. Still, Sidney continued moving forward. Then came the film that changed everything. In 1958, he starred alongside Tony Curtis in The Defiant Ones. The story followed two escaped prisoners, one black, one white, forced to survive while literally chained together. The movie became a sensation. Critics praised the performances. Audiences embraced the story. And Sidney Poitier made history by becoming the first African-American actor nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actor in a leading role. Hollywood could no longer pretend he wasn't there. The barriers that once seemed impossible were beginning to crack. And Sidney Poitier was the man swinging the hammer. Yet his greatest victories and his greatest challenges were still ahead. The world was about to witness a performer who would not only change movies, but help reshape the way millions of people viewed race, dignity, and human potential. And what happened next would cement his place in history forever.